I started listening to TOFOP 3 years ago when I was 13, and I've enjoyed every episode.
Okay.
It does suck as a 16-year-old now with mates that don't listen to podcasts that I can't talk to them about a podcast with two middle-aged men who discuss their bin issues and abnormally enthusiastic interest in The Rock.
I mean, can you imagine having to explain that to 16-year-old friends?
I mean, what would have been the equivalent when we were in high school? So, so if he was 16, so we are, 35 years older than him.
Yeah.
So when you and I were at high school, would that have been Monty Python? How old's John Cleese? He'd be 70-something.
I believe we're exactly like Monty Python.
Okay, but a shit version of Monty Python.
Yeah, Kevin Bloody Wilson.
Yeah, okay. But but at high school, all your mates love Kevin Bloody Wilson.
But it is, I think that this could be something because it is adults. Like, we're people your parents,
yeah.
Like, we're your parents' age. Like, I imagine that Oliver's parents are probably the same age as I am, right? Like,
yeah.
Because I'm 47. What's he? Like 16 years old. So that means, like if they were 30 in their like 30s when they have, so of the same generation, right? So for him, this is like, imagine like tuning into a podcast and hearing people your parents' age talk the fucking nonsense that we talk.
I mean, I guess like there were mates of mine who did not like Monty Python, who thought it was just dumb old people shit. Or like, you know what it would be like? The Goon Show. The Goon Show was just a bit too far removed for me to get. Like, I know that my dad and his mates liked it, and I could see the kind of seeds of, this is meant to be funny, but I don't get it because it's old men doing funny voices and shit.
But even at my school, like things like The Big Gig and like the Doug Anthony All-Stars and that style of comedy was only a kind of niche comedy in the schoolyard. Like the Comedy Company and Fast Forward and like
that
these
was the
big sort of, they're
stuff.
your mainstream. That's what everybody was into. Like to be into those ABC shows or those ABC acts was still...
It's true.
It was kind of a bit niche and nerdy, you know?
I guess like the majority of my mates weren't watching The Money or The Gun when I was at high school.
Even The Late Show. We all remember The Late Show as being this like really popular show, but it's only really popular between like all of our friends because it affected us all so much and made us want to do what we do. But
wasn't that mainstream popular?
No, it only had 2 seasons because it wasn't popular. It didn't do that well.
Is that right?
Yeah, but it was
Fucking
like that
hell,
first,
wow.
what they say about that first Lou Reed album. What's his band called? The Velvet
Transformer?
Underground. So the first album like sold 50 copies or whatever when it came out, but like that everyone who bought a copy went and started a band or whatever the thing they say is. And like that was what The Late Show, I mean, it became more popular in its sort of legend and as people discovered it on like video and all those sort of things. But you know, it was only a 2-season show.
My older brother, who also listens to this show, and myself often talk about TOFOP and TOFOP stories at the dinner table, which leaves my parents slightly confused, but interested.
Okay.
Charlie's old man experiences are usually talked about and has led my brother, my mum, and myself to conclude that Charlie is very similar to my dad.
Okay, there you go.
Which makes sense. In recent years, Dad has had issues with the neighbours, which has led to him doing some pretty Charlie-ish things. But like putting some brightly painted tree stumps on our front verge to stop the neighbours from driving on the verge garden. My mum remarks, Charlie sounds just like your dad, with Dad replying, I can totally understand why this Charlie did that. I love Two Guys, One Cup. Your footy knowledge or lack thereof is amusing and sometimes cringeworthy.
That sounds about
I'm getting
right.
schooled by a 16-year-old.
They tell it like it is the kids.
They do. I'm trying hard not to flex on Charlie here. But I'm an Eagles supporter and I've already seen 2 premierships in my lifetime. It's an amazing feeling to witness your team win a premiership. No, you haven't seen... Oh, he has. Yeah. One was, hey, buddy... Bullshit. The first flag was when you were born. That doesn't count. You have not seen 2 flags in your lifetime. You can't count that. In the first 6 years doesn't count.
I mean, you're still alive and you can watch the replay.
Yeah, but...
You didn't live through the season.
You didn't live through the season. It's an amazing feeling to witness your team win a Premier. Oh, fuck off. I'm getting pissed off, Oliver. I do sympathise with you, Charlie. And I hope that you might experience that feeling one day.
One day.
Great. The 16-year-old's bloody trying to make me
He's
feel better.
patronising you. You're being patronised by a 16-year-old.
He's going to call me a city boy very soon.
Yeah. Where'd you
During
grow up?
during lockdown last year, I started listening to TOFOP from the start and then the earlier TOFOP episodes, which has been a real eye-opener in terms of what 30-something-year-old men like to discuss occasionally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the great content. You guys have always made me laugh, and I truly appreciate the work you do to release such entertaining stuff. I recently became a Patreon subscriber because I realized that the pod is worth paying for.
You know what? We're getting a little pocket money.
A little pocket money. He's, collecting trolleys at his local Woolies, and we're bloody
Putting
dipping
it
our
over to
beaks.
the TOFOP Patreon. I appreciate that.
His mum
Alex.
is like, can you please save for a car or to put yourself through uni? He's like, nope.
No, I have a
There's
podcast I
two
want to
middle-aged
support.
men. To see the full video, join our Patreon.
Patreon.com/TOFOP.